Have you ever been at a restaurant or a bar or in a waiting room or anywhere in public that had a TV playing and it's set to a channel you can't stand, or it's playing way too loud and you just wish you could change the channel or turn down the volume or mute it entirely? Well, with this device you can't, because I tried programming this to work with several different TVs and a digital TV converter box, and it didn't work with any of them. But rather than give up entirely on the video I was planning to make about this, I thought I'd make a video about this TV that I was intending to control using this remote. Because you may have seen this in some of my past videos, and I think it's a very neat little TV. It's a Gateway, and yes, that is the same Gateway that used to sell computers, originally known as Gateway 2000. This dates from 2003, when Gateway had some retail stores, and they were trying to expand into the home entertainment business instead of just computers, so they had several different models of TVs that they sold back then, and this was one of them. It's a 13-inch 4:3 aspect ratio, standard definition LCD television and monitor. So it's pure standard definition. It does not upscale it to HD, so there is no upscaling lag, which makes it ideal for classic video games and computers. The built-in speakers don't sound very good, but they are in stereo, unlike most CRT televisions of this size. On the front you get a composite video input with stereo audio, left and right. A headphone jack, very simple controls which are handy because I did not get this with the remote, and good luck trying to find one, and I doubt you'll find any universal remote control that includes this on its list of TVs it supports. Input selection, the menu, volume, channel up and down, and an OK button. And over there is the power button, which does light up when you turn it on, and the remote sensor. It has a finger grip built in, which makes it very handy to pick up and move around. Wow, that's a long model number. GTW-L13M103. It's universal voltage and frequency, 100 to 240 volts, 50 or 60 hertz. Manufactured in October 2003. And there it says it was made in Korea, so maybe this was made by Samsung or Daewoo or LG, one of those companies. And at first I didn't think this was a VESA mount because the holes are awfully small and spaced close together. But this turns out to be the smallest possible size of VESA mounting. It's 75 millimeters spacing, horizontal and vertical. It comes with a tilting base, unlike some much bigger TVs I've seen. There's a retaining clip for the power cord. I don't know if it originally came with some kind of decorative trim over this or not. Tucked away in there is a standard IEC power cord socket. Very convenient to have a built-in power supply, because I've seen and used much bigger TVs than this that do not include a built-in power supply. Here are the rest of the inputs on the back. Antenna input. This is only an analog TV tuner, because 2003 was a little bit too early for something like this to have a digital TV tuner. But it does support both antenna and analog cable TV, so it's great for classic video games and computers. Just connect it directly to that if it has an RF output. If it has a composite output, you can use this jack on the back as well as the one on the front. There are another set of stereo audio inputs which work with both the composite input and the S-video input for better picture quality. And if you have something like a Commodore 64 that has Luma and Chroma video outputs, you can get a cable that converts that to S-video. Since it really is the same thing, it just uses a different connector, which is exactly what I did with this Commodore 64 video cable. I know it looks like it has composite video and stereo audio, but the colors were not standardized back then. In this case, the yellow is Luma, the red is Chroma, and white is audio. And I made this homemade adapter to convert the Luma and Chroma to an S-video connection. There's a Kensington lock slot, and I think this would have been a retaining clip for the antenna cable, except it got broken off.
Not what you should have been shooting anyway for your first try.
Oh my gosh, well, that's what I shot. And it got me pretty good. Well, Jill, thanks for that offer, honey. I appreciate it. It's so great to hear from you.
Only in America, they're supposed to be selling watches. Instead, they're talking about guns. But here it is, connected via RF to my digital TV converter box.
I love Pisces. My mom's a Pisces too. Yeah, Pisces are
Yep,
sweet.
I'm a fish.
Sweet people.
That's right.
Well, Jill,
That's
thank you
right.
so much for calling in.
Now they're talking about horoscopes. So they really have nothing to talk about trying to sell those watches.
If you can do that, you have a chance to win one of these fabulous cars.
They were giving away a Yugo.
Congratulations.
Isn't that great? Here's the Yugo. As much as I love old game shows, I was getting tired of that crappy digital TV reception, so I pulled out this Panasonic DVD VCR combo unit, which has a couple unique features, including a proprietary VP speed on the VCR, which may be worth doing a video about in the future. But more importantly for this video is that this has all three of the outputs we need for this TV. It has RF through regular analog channel 3 or 4. It has composite video output and S-video output. Here's a close-up look. This is analog RF. This is composite video. And this is S-video.
EOS Rebel cameras are high-performance digital SLR cameras. Select EOS Rebel cameras feature a high-resolution CMOS sensor for stunning image capture, a Digic image processor, high-precision and high-speed autofocus, and continuous shooting, and full HD movie shooting. These cameras can be perfect for shooting different situations and can produce outstanding photos and video in a variety of circumstances.
Now I have it connected to my Commodore 64 through that Luma Chroma to S-video adapter that I made, and I think the color scheme works pretty well with it. It would be an almost perfect match for an older bread bin style Commodore 64 because it's a darker beige kind of color, which almost perfectly matches the function keys on this one. I know this camera isn't going to do it justice, but the image is about as sharp as you'd ever get with a CRT monitor. Here's a close-up of that image from the Commodore 64 using the S-video input. That S-video input is also useful for displaying a high-resolution monochrome video signal from a computer such as an Apple II or a PC with CGA in 80-column mode. So if you don't need color, you can get a very nice sharp video image by connecting it to only the Luma pin or the Y pin of the S-video input. How's that for an extreme close-up of 80-column CGA text mode on this gateway monitor? One disadvantage of this TV is that it is not multi-system. It only supports NTSC video signals, not PAL. For an example of that, I have it connected to this Sony Mavica floppy disk camera, whose video output is switchable between NTSC and PAL. Currently it's set to NTSC. If I go into the menu here and change it to PAL, you'll see what happens. The image is black and white, it's flickery, and it looks like the framing isn't correct because it's going off the bottom of the screen, probably because it's delivering more lines of video than what it's expecting. NTSC is 525 lines, PAL is 625 lines, so that's why it's getting cut off. And I don't know if it's going to get through the processing and deinterlacing of this video, but it's very flickery and kind of shimmering. And you can see that Sony didn't think of anybody ever using this camera with a black and white TV because the different colors they show in the menu are not really visible in black and white. But nonetheless, I'll switch it back to NTSC, and now we get a perfect image again. It also has this quirk where it tries to auto-center the video image, but it doesn't always get it correct. For example, you can see the Sylvania logo of this DVD player is shifted off to the right when it's supposed to be centered. The way you fix that is very easy. You just turn the TV off and turn it back on. And when it comes back on, you can see it's centered more properly now. Oh, and there goes the screensaver, but I'm not going to wait and see if it ever ends up directly in the corner. See, it just missed it there. The audio quality of the built-in speakers is obviously not very good due to their small size. That's one thing this can't really compare to a CRT television, is the size of the cabinet of a CRT gives it much better audio quality. but it does surprisingly have bass and treble controls for the built-in speakers, as well as stereo balance. You can switch it between mono and stereo, and it has auto volume leveling. Now it's time for a direct side-by-side comparison between the Gateway LCD monitor and an old-fashioned 1980s Panasonic CRT television. This is not going to be comparing image quality or color accuracy or anything like that, because there's simply too many variables involved. My main purpose of this is to see how much, if any, lag the LCD has compared to the CRT, which may or may not be visible to the naked eye, but I have this Sony Handycam which has a slow motion mode which records 240 fields per second. So if there's any lag with the LCD versus the CRT, we'd definitely be able to see it with the slow motion mode of this camcorder. One thing I can say right away is that there is no audio lag with this LCD TV, because you know how you go into an electronics store and they have a whole wall full of TVs playing simultaneously, and you hear an echo effect because they're all not playing exactly in sync. Well, if this LCD TV side by side with the CRT, they're perfectly in sync, at least in terms of the audio. So that's about it for the little Gateway LCD TV. It's by far not the best TV or monitor ever made, and I still love CRTs, as you can see from the one in the background that I use with my Tandy 1000. But if I just need something quick to test an old computer or see what's on a VHS tape, this is the one I grab, because there's no messing around with different settings for upscaling, aspect ratios, interpolation, deinterlacing, anything like that. You just plug it in and it works. Featuring high definition graphics.